In the summer of 2017, a group of friends decided to embark on a camping trip to the remote and rugged mountains of a national park. Excited for an adventure in nature, they packed their tents, sleeping bags, and enough food to last them a week. Little did they know that their camping trip would turn into a harrowing ordeal they would never forget. The first few days of the trip went smoothly. They hiked through picturesque landscapes, swam in crystal-clear lakes, and enjoyed the camaraderie of being out in the wilderness together. But as the days passed, a sense of unease settled over the group. Late one evening, as they sat around the campfire, they heard strange noises coming from the forest surrounding their campsite. It sounded like rustling leaves and heavy footsteps. At first, they brushed it off as wildlife passing by, but the sounds persisted, and the feeling of being watched intensified. As the night wore on, the group huddled together in their tents, trying to ignore the unnerving sounds that seemed to be drawing closer. The flickering campfire cast eerie shadows, and every rustle of leaves sent shivers down their spines. Suddenly, they heard what sounded like low whispers in the darkness outside their tents. Fear gripped their hearts, and they clutched onto each other, unsure of what to do. The whispers seemed to circle their campsite, growing louder and more sinister with each passing moment. In a desperate attempt to scare away whatever was lurking in the shadows, they shouted into the darkness, demanding that the intruder reveal themselves. But there was only silence in response, making the situation even more unnerving. The following night, things took a terrifying turn. As they sat around the campfire, they noticed glowing eyes in the darkness beyond the firelight. Panic set in as they realized they were not alone. Something or someone was lurking in the shadows, observing them from the cover of the trees. Fearful and uncertain of what to do, they decided to pack up their belongings and leave the area. But as they attempted to depart, they discovered that their car had been tampered with. The tires were slashed, and the engine wouldn't start. Feeling trapped and vulnerable, they were left with no choice but to spend another night in the wilderness. Fear kept them awake, listening to every creak and rustle outside their tents. The sound seemed to draw closer, as if whatever was stalking them was toying with their fear. The group's leader, Mark, suggested that they stay quiet and hidden inside their tents until the morning. He believed that whatever or whoever was stalking them might be trying to provoke a reaction. He advised them to stick together and keep their lights off to avoid drawing attention. As the night dragged on, the group could hear the footsteps coming closer and closer to their campsite. The tension was palpable, and everyone held their breath, waiting for the dawn to break. The hours seemed endless, and sleep was impossible. When the first light of morning finally emerged, the group gathered their courage and quickly broke camp. They left their belongings behind, not caring about anything except escaping the eerie wilderness that had become a nightmare. With trepidation, they navigated through the dense forest, never looking back. Fear seemed to guide their every step, and the once beautiful landscape now seemed menacing and malevolent. After what felt like an eternity, they reached the nearest ranger station and reported the disturbing incidents to the park authorities. The rangers promised to investigate the matter thoroughly. Back in the safety of civilization, the group of friends found it difficult to shake off the lingering terror of their camping horror story. They couldn't comprehend who or what had been stalking them in the middle of nowhere, and the experience left them questioning their belief in the safety of the wilderness. Months passed, and the park authorities conducted an extensive investigation. However, no concrete evidence or leads were found. The mysterious and eerie events remained unexplained, forever etched in the minds of the group, a chilling reminder that even in the most remote and beautiful places, there may be unseen dangers lurking, waiting to turn a tranquil camping trip into a nightmarish ordeal. One real and infamous camping horror story is the case of the Dyatlov Pass incident, which occurred in February 1959 in the Ural Mountains of Russia. A group of experienced hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, embarked on an ambitious trek to reach the peak of Mount Otorten. The group consisted of 10 young hikers, mostly university students, who were passionate about exploring the rugged wilderness. They set off on their journey, well prepared and equipped for the harsh winter conditions. However, the hikers never completed their expedition. When they failed to return on the expected date, a search and rescue operation was launched. Several days later, the search party made a gruesome discovery. The hikers' campsite was found abandoned, and the tents had been slashed open from the inside. The tracks surrounding the campsite were puzzling and indicated that the hikers had fled the area barefoot or in their socks, despite the freezing temperatures. As the search continued, the bodies of the hikers were found scattered in the snow, with some located several hundred meters away from the campsite. The circumstances surrounding their deaths were baffling and disturbing. 2 of the hikers were found with fractured skulls, suggesting severe trauma. Another hiker had severe chest injuries, as if crushed by a tremendous force. Strangely, some of the victims' clothing contained traces of high levels of radiation. The most unsettling discovery was the lack of external injuries on most of the bodies, despite the internal damage. Some of the hikers' bodies had a strange, orange-tinted skin color, adding to the mystery. The investigation into the Dyatlov Pass incident yielded no definitive answers. Theories ranged from avalanches to military tests to an attack by local tribespeople. However, none of these explanations could account for all the peculiarities surrounding the hikers' deaths. As a result, the case remains one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in the world of outdoor exploration. Numerous conspiracy theories and speculations have arisen over the years, and the Dyatlov Pass incident continues to captivate the public's imagination. The tragic and eerie events that unfolded on that cold winter night have become a chilling reminder that even experienced hikers and adventurers can face unknown and inexplicable dangers in the wilderness. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains an enduring enigma, leaving unanswered questions about what truly happened to those young hikers on that fateful night in the remote Ural Mountains. One real and chilling camping scary story occurred in 2005 in the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York. A group of 4 friends, Mike, Lisa, Sarah, and Tom, decided to go on a weekend camping trip to enjoy the beautiful fall foliage and escape the hustle of city life. They set up their campsite near a secluded lake, far away from other campers. The first day went smoothly, and they spent the time hiking, fishing, and enjoying each other's company around the campfire. However, as night fell on the second day, strange occurrences began to unsettle the group. While sitting around the campfire, they heard eerie sounds coming from the woods surrounding them. It sounded like rustling leaves, low whispers, and occasional distant laughter. Brushing it off as their imagination, they decided to turn in for the night. But as they settled into their tents, the noises persisted, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched washed over them. In the middle of the night, Sarah woke up feeling claustrophobic inside her tent. She unzipped the entrance to get some fresh air and noticed a faint light moving through the trees not far from their campsite. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she woke up Lisa to share what she had seen. Lisa, feeling a mix of fear and curiosity, decided to investigate further. They quietly woke up Mike and Tom, and the 4 of them slowly made their way towards the source of the light. As they got closer, they saw that the light was coming from a small abandoned cabin deep in the woods. It was odd to find such a structure in such a remote location. The cabin looked dilapidated and had an eerie aura surrounding it. Feeling a sense of unease, the group decided not to get any closer and returned to their campsite. However, the strange occurrences didn't stop there. Throughout the night, they heard more rustling in the woods, footsteps around their tents, and even more unsettling laughter. The group grew increasingly frightened and decided to pack up their belongings at first light and leave the area. As they hurriedly dismantled their campsite, they noticed that some of their belongings had been moved, and their cooler, which they had placed away from their tents, was now overturned and empty. Feeling that they were no longer alone, they left the area as quickly as they could and reported the strange events to the park authorities when they returned to civilization. The authorities investigated the area but found no signs of other campers or wildlife that could have caused the disturbances. The abandoned cabin they described was also not officially marked on any maps, adding to the mystery of what they had experienced. To this day, the friends are left with unanswered questions and vivid memories of that unsettling camping trip. The events of that night in the Adirondack Mountains remain unexplained, leaving them to wonder if they had encountered something otherworldly or just a series of strange coincidences. Regardless of the cause, the experience has forever changed their perception of camping in remote areas, reminding them that nature can hold unexpected and chilling surprises, especially when darkness falls and the line between reality and the unknown becomes blurred. One true and terrifying camping horror story occurred in the summer of 2014, in the dense and remote forests of the Pacific Northwest in the United States. A solo hiker, named Alex, embarked on a challenging backcountry camping trip to immerse himself in the beauty and tranquility of nature. Alex was an experienced outdoorsman and had completed numerous camping and hiking trips in the past. He relished the solitude and connection to nature that the wilderness provided, and he was well prepared for the rugged terrain and unpredictable weather. He began his journey with excitement, setting off on a multi-day hike through the breathtaking landscape. The first few days of his adventure went smoothly, with breathtaking vistas, encounters with wildlife, and a sense of peace that only the wilderness could offer. However, as Alex ventured deeper into the forest, a strange feeling of being watched began to unsettle him. At first, he brushed it off as the product of his imagination, attributing it to the solitude and isolation he experienced in the vast wilderness. One evening, as he set up his campsite by a serene lake, the feeling of being watched intensified. He noticed subtle movements in the shadows, and a sense of unease settled over him. Alex tried to reassure himself that it was just his mind playing tricks on him, but his instincts told him otherwise. That night, he struggled to sleep, feeling as if invisible eyes were fixated on him from the darkness beyond the campfire's glow. Every rustle of leaves and hoot of an owl sent shivers down his spine, making him question whether he was truly alone in the wilderness. The following day, Alex decided to continue his journey, hoping that moving on would alleviate the unsettling feeling. But as he hiked deeper into the forest, the sense of being watched only grew stronger. He noticed odd arrangements of rocks and sticks along the trail, as if someone had deliberately left them as signs. Determined to confront his fears, Alex pressed on, trying to convince himself that he was merely overreacting to the isolation and solitude of the wilderness. However, as the day wore on, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being followed. As night fell, he set up his campsite, trying to appear calm and composed despite the growing anxiety. The forest was eerily silent, and he could hear his own heart pounding in his chest. To ease his nerves, he decided to start a small campfire, hoping the light and warmth would bring some comfort. But as the fire crackled and cast dancing shadows around his campsite, he caught glimpses of movement just beyond the fire's reach. Alex's heart raced, and he realized that he was not alone. Someone, or something, was lurking in the darkness, watching him. Fearful and uncertain of what to do, he called out, hoping it was just another hiker or camper who had lost their way. But there was no response, and the unsettling feeling of being watched persisted. Unable to sleep, Alex spent the night on high alert, listening to every rustle and sound in the forest. He considered packing up and leaving in the darkness, but the fear of encountering whatever or whoever was watching him kept him rooted to his spot. As the first light of dawn broke, Alex felt a mix of relief and trepidation. He quickly packed up his belongings and made his way back to civilization, vowing to never return to the desolate part of the wilderness again. When he reported the chilling encounter to park authorities, they conducted a thorough investigation, but no signs of other campers or individuals were found in the area. The unsettling events remained unexplained, forever etched in Alex's memory as a true camping horror story. The encounter left him with a lingering fear of the wilderness and a newfound respect for the unseen dangers that could exist in even the most beautiful and isolated places. The experience served as a chilling reminder that the wilderness holds many mysteries, and the line between adventure and terror can be dangerously thin when venturing into the unknown. In the summer of 2016, a group of 4 friends, Ryan, Sarah, Matt, and Emily, decided to go on a weekend camping trip in the vast and isolated wilderness of the Appalachian Mountains. They were experienced outdoor enthusiasts, and the allure of a remote and untouched natural setting drew them to the area. The friends set up their campsite in a secluded clearing deep within the forest, far away from any signs of civilization. The first day of their trip was filled with excitement and adventure, as they hiked through dense trails, explored breathtaking vistas, and relished the serenity of nature. As night fell, they gathered around the campfire, sharing stories and laughter under the starlit sky. Unbeknownst to them, they were being silently watched from the shadows of the woods. On the second day, the friends noticed subtle signs that something was amiss. Small items, like a knife and a flashlight, had gone missing from their campsite. They attributed it to forgetfulness and brushed it off as nothing serious. As the sun set again, a sense of unease began to settle over the group. Sarah thought she heard faint footsteps approaching their campsite, but when she looked around, she saw nothing but the swaying trees. During the night, Ryan awoke to the sound of rustling leaves and the snap of a twig nearby. He strained his eyes in the darkness but could see nothing beyond the reach of the campfire's glow. He dismissed it as an animal or the wind, but the feeling of being watched stayed with him. The next morning, the friends discovered strange markings carved into the trees around their campsite. The symbols were unfamiliar, and they couldn't decipher their meaning. Concerned, they decided to cut their camping trip short and head back to civilization. As they packed up their belongings, they noticed that more items had gone missing, and there were fresh footprints leading away from their campsite. The sense of being stalked became undeniable, and fear gripped the group. Hastily, they followed the footprints in the hopes of finding the person responsible. However, the trail led them deeper into the dense forest, far away from any established hiking paths. As they pressed on, the forest grew eerily silent. No birds sang, and even the rustling of leaves seemed to cease. The feeling of being watched intensified, and the group began to feel like they were walking into a trap. Fearing for their safety, they decided to turn back and head back to their original path. But as they retraced their steps, they realized they were being followed. Panic set in, and they quickened their pace, hoping to outrun their pursuer. As they reached the outskirts of the forest, they finally spotted a man lurking among the trees. He was dressed in tattered clothes, his face obscured by a wild mess of hair and beard. His eyes bore into theirs with an unsettling intensity. Without saying a word, the man advanced towards them, his intentions unclear. Fearful for their lives, the friends ran as fast as they could, not looking back until they reached the safety of a nearby ranger station. They reported the stalking incident to the park authorities, who conducted a search for the mysterious man. However, by the time they reached the campsite, there was no sign of him, and the symbols carved into the trees had been erased. The incident left the group of friends traumatized and shaken, forever changed by the chilling encounter in the Appalachian wilderness. They no longer take camping trips lightly and always remain vigilant of their surroundings. The camping stalker horror story serves as a grim reminder that even in the beauty of nature, danger can lurk, and the wilderness can be a place of isolation and vulnerability. It highlights the importance of being aware of one's surroundings, trusting one's instincts, and taking precautions when venturing into remote and secluded areas. Thank you again for joining us for another video. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe and comment down below and let us know what you would like to hear in the near future. See you all again soon.